Greeting fellas, welcome back to the channel. In today's video we'll be delving into the topic of loot biasing and what that means for New World in terms of your current and future loot drops. But before we head straight into the topic, welcome to my channel. My name is Crispin, and if you're enjoying the content on here, subscribe to stay updated on all things New World. So now that the introduction is out of the way, you may be wondering, what is loot biasing? Loot biasing is a game changing system designed to enhance your loot drops and cater them more towards what you want rather than it being completely orangey. For example, if you're rocking with an intelligence mage build, which would most likely include you having a fire staff or an ice gauntlet equipped, when you enter a dungeon and you decide to complete those dungeons with that build equipped, you are most likely to receive a drop that caters towards your build rather than a random piece of trash. Therefore, the primary goal of loot biasing is to eliminate those frustrating trash RNG drops and cater them more towards what you're looking for by effectively rewarding you for your efforts, whether that is by rewarding you with the best in slot great axe that you've been hunting down for in PvP, or finally acquiring the perfect healing staff for all you healers out there. The moment you get an absolutely rubbish drop, it puts a sour taste in your mouth, especially if that drop came from an M3 dungeon that may have or may not have taken you about 30 minutes plus to complete. So, to address the issue of poor RNG, the loot biasing system steps in to change the odds of certain item types to drop from enemies and the huge drop tables. And here is an explanation of how that system exactly works. The dev team has currently stated that if an AI out in the open world can drop any item from its loot table, loot biasing is a key factor that will remove certain items from that loot table so that you are more likely to get an item that you want. If you have a great axe and a warhammer equipped, you are more likely to get either a warhammer or a great axe from that AI's loot pool, but this is an increased chance, not a total RNG elimination. But of course, loot biasing system in itself is a quite complex balancing act. The system has to consider various factors before deciding what type of item it should drop. Therefore, there is a chance that as you're playing you might not feel like it exists. Devs state that the rates at which determine your loot biasness may be increased depending on what type of content you play. For example, if you enjoy playing PvP, when you finish a match of PvP with a specific set of weapons, there is more likely chance to get those weapons post-match inside of the caches. This is what I feel like New World's been missing for quite a while now, or at least somewhat suppressed. We've not had a guaranteed way to get specific items up until a recent change in the crafting recipes, but even then you're only restricted to like the craftable items and not like the other open world loot. But apart from the crafting recipes, there's not really been an improved way of gathering all the other good items. With many bosses having huge loot pools of items, it's been even harder than ever to get the desired items we want. However, the devs do state that like any system, loot biasing isn't perfect. Named items and artifacts can pose challenges as they are more unique cases than regular loot, which means you may miss out on some of the named items if a loot roll is based off the currently equipped equipment. This is where the balancing of loot biasing has to come together, because you may be farming for a specific item that isn't tied in any way to your currently equipped gear, and because of the current implementation of loot biasing, you'll be getting a negative increase in acquiring the item, which is not ideal as it would restrict you to wearing specific sets just to acquire the desired items. So in general, loot biasing is a very good system if implemented correctly. It impacts newer players by preserving a broader range of loot for them to experiment with and acquire, whilst also providing a better and less RNG for items that returning or existing players may be on the hunt for. The future of loot biasing is certain to increase in players' favour over time, as the devs have stated that the system will be continuously updated as players play through the game, unlock more items and submit their feedback, which is a great thing. We don't want the game to become too RNG or not have enough of it, as with the reduction of RNG, some content value just decreases over time. With New World and its current state, we kind of run out of things to do quite quickly, therefore some form of RNG can preserve the existing content, but also if you have too much RNG, that can cause players to feel like the time isn't properly invested in the game, which is not what any game company wants, especially Amazon games, as that just totally tanks down the player retention. And from previous statistics, that's something Amazon Games just hasn't really been good at, has it? So yes, ladies and gentlemen, that is a wrap up for the video of how loot biasing works within New World. If you have liked the video, be sure to comment, like and subscribe, as there is plenty of more content coming your way. Peace.